Then there is income instability and a lack of social security. So today we are excited to launch the Living Tariff Tool, and it's an innovative initiative that is designed to empower Kenyan platform workers to pave way for fair work in this dynamic sector. And this is why the webinar is important. One, we have millions of Kenyans who rely on the platform work for their livelihood. And then we have challenges persist. There's the low wages, unstable income, and limited protections. And the Living Tariff Tool is a game changer. It equips the platform workers with enables them to calculate their fair living wage, and equips them with the knowledge and bargaining power to negotiate on fair rates. So this is a very powerful tool for advocacy, promoting fair pay and decent work when it comes to the platform economy. So we invite you to join us on this journey. And this is an interactive webinar, and the webinar will offer expert insights. So we'll learn from leading voices in the field about the platform economy, as well as the Living Tariff Tool. And then we will have a live demonstration to see how the tool works and how it can help you determine, it can help the platform workers determine their fair wage. Then there will be a panel discussion, and we will engage a lively debate on challenges and opportunities for the platform workers in Kenya. And of course, we will have a question and answer session. So get your questions answered by our panels of experts. So whether you're a platform worker, you're an employer, advocate, or simply interested in the future of work, this webinar is for you. We are really excited to have you here to be part of the movement towards fair compensation and the decent work for all platform workers in Kenya. Karibuni sana. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, depending on which part of the world you're joining us from. Anne has already done the introduction of the Living Tariff Tool in Kenya. We are all excited to launch it in Kenya, and we're hoping that you're going really to enjoy and continue using this tool in terms of bargaining for your fair wage. So I'm going to introduce our colleague, Aisha, to take us through the tool. Welcome, Aisha.
Hello, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible? All right, let me share my screen with you all. So, I hope you all can see my screen.
Yeah, it's visible.
All right, so yes, button. Okay. So, if a worker wishes to calculate his or her living tariff tool in Kenya, he or she can access living tariff tool for Kenya on mywage.org. So first of all, this is a brief intro of what how can you access living tariff tool. So this tool calculates basically your living wage, total living wage, by summing up all your expenses and costs. The minimum living tariff tool is the sum of A, B, C, and D, where A refers to net living wage without work-related costs or overheads or social security, and B refers to living wage plus work-related costs like mobile phone, motorbike, etc. And C refers to overhead time like administration, training, or waiting time. And last but not the least, D, it refers to the social security and pension. Oh, wait a second. All right, so the first page of tool looks like this. Here you are given the option to select your region and the platform type. Then let's say you choose Beringo. in that. Let's say you choose Baringo as your region. This is the area or the region where you as a worker work and earn. If you are a gig worker working in Baringo, the tool will, upon selecting, automatically tells you how much you should be earning for your work hourly, monthly, or yearly to attain a decent lifestyle referred to as living wage. This amount includes taxes and social security, but it does not include work-related costs and overheads. Let's break down these amounts a little bit. The monthly living wage for a platform worker working in Baringo is determined by adding the living wage calculated using the first-hand data collected by WageIndicator with the regional averages for Social Security. However, it does not account for your work-related costs. So if you want to calculate the hourly wage from the monthly wage, simply divide the simply divide the monthly wage by 4.33 weeks in a month, and then by normal working hours in a week, which is 45 for Kenya. To calculate the yearly wage from the monthly wage, you just have to multiply it by 12, which represents the total months in a year. Next, you will select your platform type. For example, if you work for a delivery platform, let's say, you will choose that option. Then you will specify the type of work you do. Here we have selected motorcycle delivery, and then you click on continue to proceed with your type of work. Then the tool will guide you to a page where there are standard average amounts calculated by WageIndicator for total living wage, social security, work-related costs, etc. Work-related cost refers to the cost incurred by the workers for tools, equipments, or anything necessary to perform their work effectively. This may include your smartphone, your internet connection, your phone packages, and then motorcycle costs, car costs, including fuel, maintenance, servicing, etc. Let's have a look at the standard figures, and then the tool also allows you to enter your personalized amounts. Firstly, we have the living wage for Baringo, excluding social security and work-related or overhead costs. So if a person works 45 hours per week and 288 days per year, he or she should get 181.32 Kenyan shillings per hour, and this much amount for per year. This shows per hour and this shows per year. All right. Since there's typically no concept of paid leaves in platform work, so if the worker utilizes his or her standard legal leaves, which is 21 days of annual leaves and 13 days, and 13 days of festive leaves in Kenya, according to the labor law in Kenya. So the number of working days per year decreases from 288 to 254, and working hours decreases to 2078. According to these adjusted amounts, these adjusted working hour figures, workers should receive 204.14 Kenyan shillings for their work per hour. And let's mark this as A. Next, we consider work-related costs. So work-related costs for equipment such as how much a worker spends on their phone packages, fuel maintenance, or any other miscellaneous task exclusively exclusively related to their work. For instance, let's say a motorcycle deliverer spends 3.72 Kenyan shillings per hour on phone, mobile data packages, and 102.74 Kenyan shillings for scooter fuels, motorbike maintenance, etc. And let's mark this sum as B. So now we have A and B. Moving on, now we will add costs for overhead. What's overhead time? Overhead time basically refers to the time spent on activities related to work, but this time is not directly billable to the clients. So these kind of tasks include administration, then you have to negotiate with clients, then you have to wait between tasks, and you wish to improve your skills. For that you need training. So if a worker spends these minutes, time for such activities, then the living tariff tool will adjust the calculation and calculate how much you should be earning and how much your time is unpaid. For that, if you have worked in that time, you should be paid this much amount. So let's mark this amount as C. Now we are left with social security. So and this tool also includes a separate section for social security for workers to add their reservation for social security, for pension, for sickness, for disability, or for unemployment, or for any kind of medical costs. So, since platform workers are not protected under the labor law and they are not treated as employees, and they must reserve for themselves if they want to for social security. So, let's assume this amount is the reservation for their pension, and this 47.21 is for pension, then 8.97 is for unemployment benefit, then 0.22 per hour is for insurance for medical costs, and this sum is we are referring to as D. So lastly, let's sum A, B, C, and D. So it makes like 517.59 Kenyan shillings. So a worker who works on above mentioned conditions, working hours, legal working hours, and taking legal leaves, so that worker should be earning this much amount for his work on as a motorcycle deliverer in Kenya. Additionally, the tool also offers flexibility to personalize your own calculations according to your own specific needs. For example, you can adjust your working days per week or per year or per month, or leaves to match how many days are you taking off. So you can also adjust that to match your own situation. You can then also customize your overhead time. If you feel that I spend more time on such activities, or maybe I spend less time on such activities, you can always adjust accordingly. And lastly, you can also personalize your figures for social security, reservation for social security, and the tool will automatically adjust the calculations and calculate the total living wage according to your specific needs and according to your specific figures. And then you can compare your current earning with the figure the tool provides you to determine if you are earning living wage or not, and how much you should be earning as living wage for your work. This can also help you in negotiating with the clients for specific tasks. So this tool allows you to tailor calculations to better reflect your individual circumstances and requirements. So I think that's it. Hope it helps. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aisha, for that introduction of the Living Tariff Tool. Our dear participants, you can access the tool. It's on the chat. Feel free to go through it. It's a very friendly tool. If you have any questions, you can package them, or you can just put them on the chat and we'll be able to get back to you. Over to you, Anne.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to ask some questions to our first panelist, Castro. I'm going to ask if Castro, you are ready for the questions.
Yes, Anne. Can you hear me?
I can hear you well. I hope we can all hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So Castro, if you look at the Kenyan gig workers, from the Uber drivers to the online freelancers, many feel that they are not paid fairly for their work. So does the Living Tariff Tool address these specific concerns about fair payments for Kenyans in the gig economy?
Yes, I feel like this tool is going to play a very, very big role when it comes to like assisting workers decide or be aware of how much they're supposed to earn. And I can give an example of online freelancing. Most of the times when people join online freelancing, you give yourself an hourly rate which you're not sure because you feel like you are new to the field. And at times you might even give yourself a very low hourly rate because you feel like you don't have the experience. But with this type of tool, I feel like when these drivers they are joining these platforms, or anyone who is running the online freelance platforms and they're based in Kenya, they'll be able to. This tool is going to address the issue of under rating yourself and giving yourself a very poor maybe hourly rate, and like the presenter has shown, like you're able to mention where you are located, and then it will be able to give you an hourly rate that matches with your region.
Thank you so much. So for our audience, Castro is a software engineer at LD Talent in Upwork and is recognized as a force for good and a proud founder of the Microsoft Tech community at Kibabi University. So he's been in the gig economy, and I'm sure we are going to ask him more questions so that we can also get to have a feel of the living tariff in view of the gig worker. So my second question to you, it's beyond just pay, the Kenyan gig workers face challenges like long working hours, like you mentioned, lack of social securities, and also unclear contracts on the platform, especially the freelancers. So what are the biggest obstacles to good working conditions for border delivery riders and other gig workers in Kenya today? What would you say are the biggest obstacles to good working conditions for the gig workers?
Kindly pardon, Anne.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Pardon.
So I'm saying that the Kenyan gig workers face challenges like long working hours, lack of social security, and unclear contracts. So what would you say are the biggest obstacles to good working conditions for the gig workers?
For me, I can say these are issues related to like a good health care. Like most of us would do. I'm going to give an example on freelancers. You get very good contracts, but one thing is you're not assured when your contract will end. At the same time, you are not given good health covers, and at times, even if I enjoy working online as a freelancer, at times I admire how guys working locally get very good healthcare covers and many other benefits from the organizations. Another thing is an unclear contract where you are not sure whether you will be working tomorrow. You don't know when your employer will fire you. Most of the jobs we get on freelance platforms, you don't sign a contract. Most of them you don't sign a contract or some procedures on how on how your work is supposed to be structured. So you might wake up one day and you don't have a job. And when we go to the border guys, most of them they're just self-employed and they don't like have. Okay, most of them have some circles and other bodies or organizations where they belong to, but not everyone can manage to do that. For example, let me give an example with a border rider who has recently bought their border, and they do not have those benefits. So in an event or in a situation where they have maybe an accident has occurred and they did not have any covers, that will be an extra let me say expenditure, an extra amount that is going to come out of their pocket to get off everything. So these things are good, but there are so many challenges that come with them. I don't know whether I've answered the question well, Anne.
Yeah, thank you so much. My last question to you is on the if we look at the border riders like Mama Kibandas, the food vendors, and they often struggle with earning a fair income. So in your experience, could the living tariff help Kenyan gig workers like them to set fairer prices to improve their earnings? Both the freelancers, would this tool help them to set fairer prices?
Yeah, it definitely will, because like I said, without this tool, we'll just be selling things like services on these online platforms, and even the mamambogas. Most of them will just be selling for the purpose of selling, and at times, most of these mamambogas sell at a loss, like they're not making any profits. But if this tool is utilized. It's utilized very well, and the mama mbogas are able to be able to know how much they're supposed to be earning per day or per hour. Then that means they'll sell their products in a way that they'll be able to know whether they're selling at a loss or at a profit. And this way, they're going to make an extra coin. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Castro. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
Over
Anne.
to you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne and Castro. We're now going to go to our next panelist, and our next panelist is Cecilia Mwangi. Cecilia Mwangi is the Secretary General of the Kenya Union of Hair and Beauty Workers. She's also a member of the Executive Board of the Central Organization of Trade Unions. She is a sister that I've known for long, who's been in the labor movement for quite some time. Sister Cecilia, I see we also have other members from different unions with us. I see Dan from the Transport Union. I see Kudeya representatives. And I think I'm going to share my questions amongst the three, but the rest of you feel free to chip in or top up with whatever will be presented. So Sister Cecilia, could you kindly tell us the role being played in advocating for the rights of gig workers in Kenya by trade unions today? I know this is a new concept for trade unions, but I've seen from some of the articles that I've been reading that it's a route that you're now venturing into. So could you kindly tell us what role you're being the trade unions are playing in Kenya? Welcome, Cecilia.
Thank you very much, Sister Jane, for giving me the opportunity to this meeting. Thank you very much. My name is Cecilia Mwangi, the Secretary of Kenya Union of Hair and Beauty Workers, and also the unionist by calling. What I'm the founder member of Kenya Union of Hair and Beauty Workers, and also the CEO. My main challenge in the beauty industry is that almost 80% are gig workers, majority being women. Women are of low level of education. Majority of them learn skills by growing up, so do not need any education to be in this industry. So we find that most of them are women who even work under very bad conditions of work. They do not have maternity leave, and they even do not have social protection scheme coverage. So the people who live on hard to mark, gig workers see in the beauty, at least their paid information, do not go on leave, and their working conditions are very bad. So for we as a union, we are trying to work with the government to tell them that they should formalize the sector so that the regulations will be implemented, at least improve the work, the terms and the conditions of gig workers in this industry. The whole about the union in this gig workers. First of all, it is very hard to do with gig workers. First of all, because they do not see the need of being organized, and they think that by telling them to be organized is by exposing them to the government, so that they will be now be told to pay tax, which they are not willing to pay because they are people of hand to mouth. So it's a challenge. We are seeing it. Trying to connect the gig workers in the gig industry. And also the other thing, which is also a major challenge, is that they have no information on their rights, and they are not also covered by social protection. So it's very hard when they get health issues because they have to organize themselves in these funds to handle the health issues. So as a trade union, it becomes very difficult because the gig workers did not want to be told to be paying the union dues, and the unions cannot operate it without the union dues because we have got a lot of overheads to meet. So what we are doing as a union, to help the gig workers, we have decided to come up with the programs which they would be helped with them. First of all, we have been able to introduce them to social protection schemes. We are now they are paying for national social hospital insurance card. So that the end of the day, they will be able to be covered in social protection programs. So we are also trying to help them to form associations, because with the association, we will give them the opportunity of coming together. We also help them to give them a collective voice, and we are also able to make sure that we give them the feeling of coming together, because gig workers in this industry, they do not have exposure, they have no connectivity. They are just employed from 6 o'clock up to the end when the grant did not come. So we are telling them that these are your rights as workers, because it does not matter whether you are employed as a formal or informal. There are no convention say that a worker is a worker, regardless of the environment you are working in. We also been able to talk about gender-based violence, because gig workers in this industry is very violent, and it is sometimes the local authority has come, people harassing them all the time. And when they are trying to do something, so it becomes a major challenge, because like from the workplace to the local government security, everybody work in here at the beauty industry. So we also try to we also try to empower them on their rights. So that means they are caught by the city council, they are able to to fight for their rights. And we are also trying to educate them on gender-based violence, so that because it is also very much visible in this industry, we are telling them the procedures and how to handle gender-based violence at the workplace.
Thank you so much, Sister Cecilia Soli, to intervene for the interest of time, and so that we can also hear from your other brothers and sisters who are present. I'm going to cut you short, but feel free to type more of the information that you have on chat. And thank you so much for sharing with us the strategies that you're putting in place. I'm now going to hand over back to Anne.
Thank you so much. I'm going to be asking Edna a few questions. Edna is she's the program manager at Immobilis, and Edna also serves as a board of trustee member of the Internet Society of Kenya, and she has worked with digital skills initiatives, including the Digify Africa by Livity and Google's Digital Skills for Africa program. So Edna, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly, Madam Anne. I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you well. So Edna, many Kenyans see the gig workers as very crucial to the economy, ranging from the boda riders to the freelancers, but they also worry about their lack of benefits and security. So how is the Ajira Digital program alongside the government balancing the flexibility that gig work offers with also protecting the worker rights, like access to healthcare and fair pay?
Thank you so much for that question. And it's important to, first of all, acknowledge that gig workers are crucial to the economy in Kenya. It's clear that hundreds of thousands of jobs are being made available to gig workers, not just online gig workers, but also location-based and platform-based gig workers. There's a study that was released last year by the World Bank that showed that Sub-Saharan Africa is growing at a faster rate than developed countries when it comes to the demand for gig workers. And this is because, number one, of the flexibility that gig work offers, especially for young people who are unemployed, for those that are in the informal sector, the mama mbogas, the boda riders. So for them, if you have no job, it becomes a faster way to earn an income and take on a task. Again, as you've said, the lack of benefits and security is a persistent challenge that we are seeing and that we continue to see, mainly because in most cases, gig workers and platform workers, as you've seen on the chart, are not always considered by employers as full-time workers, which disadvantages them when it comes to accessing social benefits, and because the employers operate the platform and claim that they're not full-time workers. And so globally, we have seen steps being taken to address this, but still in Kenya and other developing countries, it's a discussion that hasn't yet been concluded in the region. So for Ajira Digital, just to give a background, it's a program by the government of Kenya through the Ministry of Information, Communications, and the Digital Economy. So we implement it ourselves, Immobilis, as well as Kenya Private Sector Alliance, and supported by MasterCard Foundation. And the vision is to recognize Kenya as a leading freelancing hub, but also to aim to empower young people and introduce young people to digital and digital-enabled work to earn a decent income. So for us at Ajira Digital, what we look at when we refer to as a decent income, we normally look at three things. Number one is the income sufficient for their needs, not just their livelihoods, but also for their social needs and health needs. And number two is the work being respected by the actual worker and also by the society. And number three, does it give a sense of purpose to the gig worker? Is it aligned with their ambitions? So that's what we normally strive for when we're aiming to empower young people to understand the online workspace and access also a dignified income. The last thing that we also do to support young people when it comes to understanding fair compensation and fair wage, we run the Ajira Digital Mentorship Program, which helps participants understand how to succeed as gig workers. So we provide it as a free 4-week mentorship to trainees. When they complete their training, they are matched with mentors. And what normally happens, they're taken through soft skills, they're taken through negotiation skills, which assist them when negotiating for a fair pay, whether it's on online work platforms or any other work that they can take. They are assisted on bidding skills, how to pitch and position themselves, because the harsh reality is it's not easy as an African gig worker when you're on platforms and you have to compete with global talent and others who may have more privilege than you. And so through the mentorship program, we help them package themselves to succeed in gig work. So it's our hope that what we are doing and what other organizations are doing can help gig workers earn a decent wage. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edna, and congratulations on your amazing impact in Immobilis. So I'm going to ask you a question related with the actions that private organizations can take. So where the government initiatives are crucial, what specific actions can the private organizations and platforms take to directly address the challenges faced by gig workers and online freelancers in terms of income security, access to healthcare, and fair working conditions? Are there any promising pilot projects or collaborations that you see as particularly effective?
Yes, there are, and thank you so much for that question. We have seen promising pilot projects and collaborations that have been quite effective in supporting especially young people who are starting out as gig workers or in getting employment, both from government, from private sector, and also from MSMEs. You'll be surprised that MSMEs are a huge driver for demand for gig work. We've seen smaller businesses being more likely to hire gig workers, outsource a larger share of their work through platforms, actually local platforms, as compared to large firms. We've seen lots of traders getting onto local platforms like GIZ or Jumia and being able to earn an income. Then when it comes to government as well, we have seen government now generating local demand. One good example that I can share from Ajira Digital is the judiciary project that was spearheaded by Ajira and was being implemented by Kenya Private Sector Alliance. And they were working with the judiciary to find local gig workers who could transcribe court proceedings. And this provided employment to thousands of young people across the country who were then taught on transcription. And not only did it benefit the gig workers, but also the judiciary itself is now able to digitize its operations. Case files are now available much faster. We have seen young people taking on transcription, data entry, scanning in order to complement the e-filing system of the judiciary. We are also seeing county governments begin to digitize their work and to offer employment to young people in their communities, mostly on digital work, whether it's transcription or data entry, which also means the public sector has a huge potential to contribute to work employment for gig workers, because you don't just have to wait for the freelance platforms or the location-based platforms to get gig work. You can also get it from the public sector. So the ecosystem is important in providing work opportunities that also give them a decent wage, which then they're able to pay for their social security, whether it's health or whether it's some form of insurance, if they're paid a good, decent wage from such projects. So yeah, it's promising and effective.
Thank you so much. My last question is on, given the Ajira Digital focus that you have shared and the impact it has on the empowering gig workers and connecting them to opportunities, how do you see the Living Tariff Tool coming in to support the work that the Ajira Digital is focusing on, and in terms of the data, the resources, and involving the stakeholders? How do you see the Living Tariff Tool coming in to support the work of that Immobilis is doing, and especially in view to the Ajira Digital focus?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Anne. We strongly believe that this is a groundbreaking tool that I'm sure will not just assist gig workers to use it, but also to help them understand what they should bid for and how they should be negotiating with clients, as well as how to plan themselves financially. So it's more of creating awareness and capacity building them using such tools. We have an Ajira portal where all the young people normally sign up when they're either signing up for training, mentorship, or work opportunities. It's a database of over 400,000 young Kenyans who are actually either freelancers or gig workers. And we see the Living Tariff Tool as an opportunity for young people who are on the Ajira Digital Portal program being able to gain awareness on the tool. We are happy to sensitize them about it. We are happy to see how to sensitize them during mentorship about fair wages negotiation and how to calculate as well what they should be earning. So it's a very useful tool, and we definitely look forward to how we can continue collaborating together. Yeah, for any further information to anyone who's on the call, you can always check out the Ajira program on ajiradigital.go.ke and support young people who are looking for work or provide opportunities or upskill them, because our main goal as Immobilis, the government and the Ajira program is to see to it that our young people get work employment through the gig and freelancing economy. Thank you, Madam Anne. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Edna. We now hand it over back to Jane. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anne. My next question goes to Brother Dan Mihandi. Brother Dan Mihandi is the General Secretary of the Transport Union in Kenya, and he is also the Executive Board Member of the Central Organization of Trade Unions in Kenya. Brother Mihandi, you can hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, so my question is, how can the Living Tariff Tool contribute to the advocacy that you are currently doing as a trade union? And in what ways can gig workers, unions, and civil society organizations utilize the Living Tariff Tool for collective advocacy in Kenya?
Thank you
Over
so much.
to you.
Thank you so much, Jane. Am I audible enough?
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Thank you. So let me start by also complimenting and congratulating you for this great work. Actually, as a trade union, we are very impressed that there are people outside there who view, platform work as the new form of work. We exited the industrial economy. We are now entering the digital economy. And as such, it is important that we pay critical attention to the terms and conditions that the workers who are engaging in work in this gig economy are reflected on. Now, in terms of the current advocacy work that we are doing, as a transport workers union, we represent workers in transport sector. We've been working so much in pushing for decent work for ride-hailing drivers, the Uber drivers in Kenya, as well as the delivery riders. From our experience, we came to realize that the existing laws that we have and regulations are outdated. For example, when ride-hailing came into Kenya, the existing taxi laws were not applicable to the uniqueness of the ride-hailing sector. So the first strategic step that we took as a union, even before looking at the terms and conditions, to ensure that the relevant government authorities are regulating particular sectors. So being that platform work is wide, find that the issues that Uber drivers are facing are not the same issues that maybe content moderators are facing, or maybe other gig workers are facing. So the first thing is we had to push the Ministry of Transport and the National Transport and Safety Authority to regulate the sector. But then, what do they regulate? We know very well that labor issues are regulated by the Ministry of Labor. Today, if you look at the contracts that are being signed between the Uber and the drivers, they are signing contracts as independent contractors. That means technically they are excluded from the existing collective bargaining framework that we have. And also being that, there are issues of flexibility and being your own boss, many government institutions believe that these people are self-employed. They believe that nobody is forcing them to work, nobody is controlling their hours of work, nobody is determining how much they earn, but yet in real sense, the algorithm is doing all these things. So in a nutshell, this is very important for us because we've been trying to come up with a pricing mechanism for Uber drivers. But then there are certain challenges that we're having. Number one is we are faced by the obstacle of competition laws. We've previously had a meeting with the Competition Authority of Kenya, and they are saying Kenya is a free market economy. So it is not within their mandate to determine the pricing mechanism that is being used by these platform companies. They even gave an example of Matatu. They were asking us who regulates prices for Matatu. It is self-regulatory. So the issue of competition law is one of the factors that is being an obstacle. Another thing they're saying that being that these are direct competitors in the same market, the law does not allow them to sit together and determine prices. But then on the other hand, the effect is the workers are earning very low pay. A challenge for us has also been, how do you quantify the pay that the drivers are getting? Because they are being paid per trip. So for example, when you want to say that they are being paid below the minimum wage, you find that the existing minimum wage for transport sector does not apply to platform work, because these are workers who are bearing their cost of operation, and at the same time, they have to earn from their labor. This tool will help us to continue pushing the Ministry of Labor to seriously take probably borrow advice from this tool on how they can be able to regulate wages in this sector for transport. In terms of collaboration with other civil society organizations, as a union, we've begun what we call the Safe Rates campaign. And the Safe Rates campaign, what we are saying is the wages that the taxi drivers are earning are very low. So the effect is that they have to work for very long hours. When they work for very long hours, when they drive you in the evening, Jen, they are already fatigued. So that means you, the passenger, become unsafe while in that vehicle. The driver himself is unsafe. Generally, all other road users are unsafe. So using this campaign, we are trying to see how we can build collaboration, especially with civil society, so that they can also help us to push for a pricing mechanism. Because part of what the platform companies are saying, for example, is if we increase the prices, then the demand will go down. But then you also have to take care of the fact that what is the effect of these prices being low. So thank you so much for the guidance through the tool. We want to see how we'll engage the Ministry of Labor to even look at it. And even being that as a union, we sit in the Transport Wages Council, we also want to see if we can use this tool to push an argument on how we can be able to come up with a pricing mechanism. Finally, I want to also agree with what Sister Cecily talked about. It is time that we realize that platform workers are also workers. What I know is Article 41 of the Constitution gives rights to every worker to join a trade union and engage in collective bargaining. But then the problem is our labor laws are outdated. They don't even recognize that a digital workspace is the new workspace. So there's also need for all trade unions to push for a review of the labor laws, especially the Employment Act, so that digital work can be recognized in the existing labor laws, and workers, irrespective of which platform sector they work in, they can be able to have safe spaces to engage in collective bargaining. Back to you, Jen.
Thank you so much, Brother Dan. I'm happy to hear that this tool is going to help you with your negotiations with the Ministry of Labor. My last question goes to our brothers and sisters from Kudeia. I see Zach left, but I see Ken is still with us. I know you have quite a number of your members who are gig workers, and I would like to now share some of the success stories where gig workers have successfully advocated for improved working conditions in Kenya, if there is any. And any of the other representatives from the trade unions can answer this if you have any success stories. Kenneth, would you have something to say on this? Kenneth Kimathi, you're muted. Okay, Brother
Hello,
Dan.
Jen. Hello.
Okay, yes, Kenneth. Okay, yes.
Yeah. Allow me to ask Sister Mercy to speak in my stead. She's present in the meeting on the call. She's Mercy Nyakio.
Okay, Mercy, are you still there? Yes, Mercy, I see you there. You kindly
allow me to use Petra's laptop.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for for this meeting, first of all, and also I'm so glad to have heard from our colleagues, that is from TAU and also the Beauty Union. And I'll share a bit, but I know we have Dorcas who is also on this call, and I know she'll also have something to add on this. But I have to appreciate that you've engaged us maybe a while back on this, and I think going through this has helped us understand that, and of course, also Madam Cecily mentioned this, that it's high time, and also our brother has also echoed on this, that it is really high time to recognize that gig economy workers are also workers, and that they need support also from the trade union. And some of the main challenges that these workers have been experiencing is the issues of the pay and basically the decent work, which will touch on the pay, the social protection, and the bit of maybe the collective bargaining, the negotiations. And so with this information also, since you had shared earlier on, we've been able to engage some of the workers and just identify the challenges that they were facing, and them getting to know that there's something that there's an organization, or there are people that are being mindful of the amount that can be like an amount that will cover most of them, and them not just having to guess an amount or work at the bare minimum has been a plus for the workers. They're appreciative of that. And so as a union, through now we also work with the informal economy workers, and we've been organizing. That's why I'm saying Dorcas, who is in this call, will also speak on this. We've been organizing people as an association, so having them as an association, and I believe through this now the tool, it will be so easy for us to continue organizing these workers in associations and also dealing with them through associations. Just recently, I think the beginning of this year, there was an app that was launched for domestic workers, whereby if you need a domestic worker, you just have to download a certain app and then apply or ask for someone to send you a worker. And so through the app, a worker is found, and then she or he is sent to now the worker who needs the house help. And so, of course, gig economy, which is tightly tied to technology, is not something that is going anywhere anytime soon. And it's high time as trade union to continually look for better ways on how to organize these members, and also on how to fight for their rights, especially when it comes to decent work. So for the informal sector, for the informal economy workers, as I've mentioned, we have like 3 associations that we work with, or like workers have been organized into an association. So I believe being a union that represents several sectors, and as I've mentioned, for the domestic sector that has already started, of which it has been there, but it was silent until recently, that it was announced on several social media platforms that they can use the apps. So I believe it is now up to us to now approach either the people of the apps, or work now with the domestic workers who have not yet been formally employed, and then just having them in an association, and also deliver this whatever we deliver, maybe share this tool with them, and it just needs to get other people. So this is of very much help to us, and I believe it will be of great help to not only the informal economic sector, but also to the other sectors. So kindly, Jane, allow me to welcome Dorcas, who is in charge of the informal sector economy sector, if there's time,
Okay.
that is.
Well, thank you, Mercy. We're really bad on time. Would have really loved to hear from Dorcas, but maybe Dorcas, if you don't mind, you can put your contribution on the chat, and then we can able to pick it up from there. If you allow us, we would like to engage you now for, let's say, 5 minutes or so. Take about 2 or 3 questions. I see most questions have been answered on the chat. If you have any pressing questions for the panelists, this is your time. Kindly, we're going to take only 3 questions for the interest of time. But for any further questions about the tool or about WageIndicator, feel free to visit the WageIndicator. And kindly raise your hand, then I'll be able to see you for the panelists. Okay, I see no hand. It means that for any questions that anybody had, they've been answered on the chat. Oh, I see Peter.
Peter.
Peter,
Yeah, thank you
you're
so
muted.
much. Yeah, thank you so much to the panelists and the team that came up with the tool. I only have one concern regarding the tool. I'm looking at it in an angle of, let's say, you have a house help here in Nairobi, and from the wage list, I think it is around 60,000 that this person should be earning. I'm looking at it in terms of our socio-cultural upbringing. Don't you think that the tool might bring some form of conflict of interest in that the house help needs to be provided with this salary or this wage, while the one employing the house help can only provide a certain wage? How will these such challenges be coped with? Or we look at a case of, let's say, a shamba boy somewhere in Elgeyo Marakwet, where at that place, if I am correct on the wages, is around 51,000. Yeah, I understand, like everyone at the end of the day, we are workers and we need our rights to be protected. But we'll need this not now lead to confrontation between employers and employees. And sometimes you find that due to, let me call, the pleasure that comes with seeing the wage that you should be provided with, you'll find that people are now even willing not to work for what is provided. Yeah, and I am a full champion of dignified income. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. I think this question is directed to our colleagues from Kudeia, ones who deal with domestic workers, but if anybody else from the team of WageIndicator has an answer to this, you're also most welcome. Mercy,
Yeah,
and
maybe Danny. Maybe Danny can explain, and if not Danny, then I can do. So, but I assume Danny can do.
Okay, Danny.
I didn't get what was the issue exactly with the number, to be honest.
Okay, Danny, what Peter
Maybe
was
you,
saying.
yeah. Okay.
What Peter was saying that from our tool, for example, a domestic worker in Elgeyo Marakwet is supposed to be paid 60,000 Kenya shillings. And looking at the cultural way, the way it is now, that is way too much ahead. And he was asking that would this not bring in some friction or some contradictions between the employer and the employee? And the same applies to a shamba boy.
Yeah, so well, the number we calculated should be seen as something people aim at getting, or like a fair wage. So it's not the law and it's not compulsory. So I guess there should be maybe some discussion between the employer and the employee in this case about how much they're being paid, to find maybe a fair wage that gets closer to what we propose. And there is, of course, the option to adapt, like in the third page of the tool. Maybe there can be talks about number of days of leave, or some adaptation on the time that is spent on the different activities and so on. So there is an option for customization as well. So maybe in this case, the employer and the employee can use the tool to discuss the wage. Pauline?
Yes. And maybe I can add some.
Yes, Pauline.
Of course, in let's say in many countries in the world, a living wage is seen as a dream, as something which is never reality, especially not when you live in Kenya. But on the other side, you see step by step big firms at more countries where a living wage comes through. And why not in Kenya? So it is a dream level. But you can strive for it, and the dream level is a dream level related to the cost of living in Kenya. So if people think, well, it's very expensive in Kenya, yeah, then no doubt then you need a higher wage, therefore a living wage or a living tariff when you're self-employed. So it's dreamy. We invite you to come and dream.
Just to add on to what Danny and Pauline have said, I think, as Danny put it rightly, this is just a tool to help you in your negotiations. It's a go in between. At least you know, you have an idea that this is the amount of money I'm supposed to get monthly in this particular sector. I know in Kenya we have the labor laws where we have minimum wage for different sectors, and that is very, very applicable. But for us, this is not law. This is just like a guiding tool for your negotiations. I hope that helps, Peter. See, we've gone our time. I want to thank you for your participation, and now I'm going to hand it over to Anne to give us the final word. Anne, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jane, and we want to thank all the moderators and the participants, and we want to thank Pauline and her team. And we are very, very grateful for the participation, the questions that we have raised, and most importantly is to continue using the tool and also use it as a reference, and we would like to receive as much feedback as possible. And what we have done is just the beginning of a great discussion. And this is a tool that is not set on stone. It's a tool that we will receive feedback, and it will also bring data that is going to also raise other discussions. So we are very, very grateful for your participation. The panelists, we are very, very thankful because of your participation and valuable input. You answered the questions that maybe the audience was also preempting, and also you gave us also the background of where you are involved in the gig economy, which has also given the tool more impact because it's going now to be used widely. But what most importantly, we request that we disseminate this tool as far and wide as possible and give the feedback that is required, because this is something that has just begun. And if we want to go fast, we go alone, but we want to go far, we go together. So we really look forward to, I don't even want to say, the sky is not even the limit in terms of what has been opened up today. Thank you, Jane, Pauline, you know the genesis of all this, and we are very, very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and bye-bye, everybody, and make sure to visit the WageIndicator platform for more information. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. I'll be closing the Zoom room now.